Hi traders, this is Taylor from thetradinganalyst.com. And I get a lot of questions about trend lines and how I draw them, when to draw them, and what kind of signals to base off of trend lines. So I decided to do a little quick tutorial to show you guys how I use trend lines. It's not rocket science. These are simple, easy to use concepts. And I'm going to show you how to apply this to your trading toolbox. So first, I just want to note that we are going to be looking at 60-minute chart, otherwise known as hourly charts here, where every candlestick represents 1 hour of trading. Okay, but these concepts are the same for any time frame on any chart. So you can use trend lines on 1-minute charts, 2-minute charts, daily charts, weekly charts, monthly charts, any chart, okay? One thing that I do want to note is that when you're using a shorter time frame chart, like a 1-minute chart, that trend line is going to be valid for a lot less time. So a break of a trend line on a 1-minute chart is going to be a lot less significant than a trend line on a daily chart, okay? So you should be aware of that. So moving on, we are looking at the Netflix hourly chart just to give us an example. Take a look at this chart and for a minute and see where you would draw the trend line here. We obviously have an uptrend line, so we're going to be starting from the lows over here, drawing a trend line. And I'm just going to go ahead and draw it right here. We've got the start from the bottom of this candle. We've got a touch right there, here, here, and it bounced again off here. All right, and there we have it. Okay, so as you can see, this is a straight line, all right? And you also want to be cognizant of the angle of the trend lines that you're drawing, okay? The best trend lines are the ones that go near diagonal across the bottom left of your screen to the top right of your screen, about a 90-degree angle, okay? So this trend line matches up perfectly with that concept. And as you can see, we've got a touch here, we've got a touch here, 2 touches. We've got 1, 2, 3 touches here, another one, and then we bounce perfectly off of this trend line over here. And if you notice, this candle went below the trend line here, okay? But what did it do next? It ended up closing above the trend line, okay? So that brings me to my next point. With trend lines, the trend line is not broken until the candlestick for the time frame that you are using closes, okay? So this was the opening of the last session that we had, and it opened up below the trend line, and then it went even lower here, but then it ended up closing above that trend line. So this would not be considered a violation of that trend line, okay? Really nice trend line here, okay? So a break of this trend line below this line, okay, a close below it would be a great short signal, okay? I'm going to take a look at a couple more charts just to make sure that you got this down pat. Look at Google here. Oops, I'm going to erase that first. And we've got a trend line here, and it's clearly in an uptrend here, okay? And notice where you can kind of just eyeball it, okay? So you can see that we have here, these are kind of along the same angle here. We're kind of angling up, okay? And then we can draw the trend line from these lows here. Okay. to right about there. Okay, so we've got a lot of touches here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And again, notice with this candle and the tail of this candle, they both went below this trend line, okay? But what did they do? They ended up closing above the candle. I'm sorry, above the trend line, and that's what matters for trend lines no matter what time frame you're using. Another thing that I want to point out that's very important is the amount of touches that you want for a trend line. You want at the very least 2 touches, preferably 3 or more, okay? I really like to use 3 at least for a barometer, but technically you only need 2. But you can get whipsawed more often if you only draw 2 touches on the trend line, or if you only draw trend lines that only have 2 touches, okay? So I really like to wait for 3 touches in order for to draw that trend line. Another thing that I want to point out here is we have a break, a close below. This is a breaking of the trend line over here, okay? A breaking of the trend line. So that would have been a good short opportunity right here. And what you can also do is notice how, what did we do here on this next candle? We broke the candle, we broke the trend line, and then what did we do the next candle? We retested. Google went up here and it retested that trend line and then got rejected and closed below the trend line again, okay? So you can get in on the original candle that breaks it. If you want to be even safer, you can get in, or if you want to get not safer, but a even better entry, more often times than not, the ticker often retests the broken trend line, okay? Just like we did right there. And then it will continue downwards, okay? I'm going to cover one more chart really quick. Make sure you guys got this. All right. Last but not least, we've got the Apple hourly chart right here. As you can see, we've got a nice uptrend line right here. All right. Look at this uptrend. Straight up. Really, really nice moves by Apple. Okay. And then what do we get? We got a reversal candle right here. All right. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw this trend line here. Right about here. And remember, you can always redraw these trend lines. So you don't always get it right. Maybe you draw it like this the first time, but I like to draw it correct on the first time, but you don't always get it right on the first time. So take your time with it. Make sure you get it correct. So we started from the lows over here. We've got multiple touches, keeps on bouncing. I love these longer lower wicks, bouncing back above the trend line. Lower wicks touching the trend line here, here. Okay, and then we got to close below it on this candle right here. We've got a candle right there that just barely closed below it, but I don't really like that signal. You want to really see it close significantly below it, and that's too tough to call, especially because trend lines are often not exact, okay? So this isn't an exact science, but you want to get as close as you can. So when it closes, see how the corner of it closed just below that trend line? I would not take that signal. And again, here we close back above the trend line, but then right here on this candle, that's where I would take the signal because we definitely close below the trend line there. And as you can see, after this candle, we got this candle right here, and that provided a great shorting opportunity. Okay, that's it for the trend line video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and were able to learn a thing or two. If you're not a member at thetradinganalyst.com, go ahead and give us a tryout. We have a free trial, and you can check us out. We'll see you over there.